My sister announced her baby's name at a family dinner and smirked, "I took yours because you'll never use it better than me." My mom laughed. I just said, "We'll see." The day she filed the birth certificate, the clerk's response made her burst into tears. Growing up in Knoxville, Tennessee, I learned that quiet doesn't mean powerless. In our house, being loud got you attention, but it didn't get you respect. My sister Danielle was always the loud one. Always had to be the center of everything. Always wanted what I had, but only to ruin it or claim it as hers. I was used to it. My parents always shrugged it off. "That's just how Danielle is," they'd say. "She's strong-willed." But that's not what she was. She was mean. She was petty. And she never once apologized. When I was 19, I found out I was pregnant. I was scared, but also a little hopeful. I was dating this guy Brandon, and I was stupid enough to believe we'd figure it out together. The second I told him, he ghosted me. Told me he wasn't ready and just disappeared. My parents didn't offer comfort. My mom looked disgusted. My dad just said, "You better hope this doesn't ruin your future." Danielle? She laughed. Told me I was ruining my life and that I'd probably be a terrible mom. What she didn't know was that I had already picked a name. Lena. It was my grandma's name. My mom's mom. The only person in our family who ever looked out for me. She lived with us for a year before she died. She used to sneak me snacks when I skipped meals, taught me how to sew, told me stories about when she was young. I loved her more than anyone else in that house. Before she passed, she held my hand and told me, "They don't get to decide who you are, sweetheart. You do. You always have." So yeah, Lena meant something. It was hope, strength, memory, all wrapped up in one name. And then, 11 weeks in, I lost the baby. I bled all night. My mom wouldn't come into the bathroom. Just said, "Call the nurse hotline if it's serious." I sat on the cold tile floor by myself and cried until I passed out. I told no one about the name. Not even Danielle. But a year later, I slipped up during one of those family dinners. Someone asked if I'd ever want kids, and I said, if I ever had a girl, I'd name her Lena. After Grandma. Danielle just smirked. "That's old-fashioned." I thought nothing of it. Years passed. I worked, healed, fell in love with a man who actually saw me. His name's Henry. We got married in a quiet backyard ceremony with no family, just friends. My mom didn't come. Danielle said she had better things to do. Henry and I started trying for a baby. It didn't happen right away. Months turned into years. I started to think maybe it wasn't going to happen for us. But Henry was patient. He kept reminding me that no matter what, we were still a family. Then Danielle announced she was pregnant. The whole family acted like she was the Virgin Mary. Showers, gifts, attention. My mom started posting her ultrasound pictures like they were paintings. I was polite. I sent a gift. I stayed quiet. Then came the night of my mom's birthday dinner. Danielle stood up after dessert with her hands on her belly and said she had an announcement. "We've decided on a name for the baby," she said. She looked right at me. Not at our parents. Not at her husband. At me. Then she smiled and said, "We're naming her Lena. I took yours because, let's be honest, you'll never use it better than me." And my mom laughed. She actually laughed. I just stared at Danielle. I said, "We'll see." That was it. No yelling. No fighting. Just those two words. Because what Danielle didn't know was that I had already done something about it. A few months earlier, after another failed round of IVF, Henry had been reading up on state laws and found out something interesting. In Tennessee, you can file a name declaration form if the name has deep family or cultural significance. It doesn't stop anyone from using it entirely, but it flags the name within the family surname registry for review, especially if someone tries to register a child under the same name without permission. It's a legal gray area, but Henry talked to a lawyer friend who helped us do it right. I filed the form. I had it notarized. I wrote about Grandma Lena. I included the hospital paperwork from when I miscarried. I sent in a letter explaining everything. It was all approved. Quietly. Without fanfare. So 2 weeks after Danielle gave birth, she went to the county clerk's office to file her baby's birth certificate. And the clerk said no. She was told that Lena Grace, Danielle's last name, was on legal hold due to a prior claim in the immediate family. Danielle flipped out. She screamed at the clerk. Called me from the parking lot crying and yelling, demanding I undo whatever petty bullshit I had done. I didn't answer the phone. Later that night, she texted me, "You're AF ****ing monster. You're obsessed with me. Get help." A week after that, I got a letter from my mom. She said I should be ashamed of myself, that I embarrassed the family, that I stole Danielle's joy and held onto a grudge like a sad, bitter woman. She ended it with, "No wonder you lost your baby." That's the last thing my mom ever said to me. Danielle ended up naming the baby Madison, with 2 N's. She tried to make it sound fancy, but everyone knew it wasn't what she wanted. I haven't spoken to my family since. But here's the part that feels like fate. 3 months later, after we stopped trying completely, after I finally let go of the hope, I missed my period. I took a test. Positive. I sat on the floor of the bathroom, same as years ago, but this time I didn't cry from pain. I cried from hope. And if it's a girl, we already know her name. Lena. We didn't tell anyone at first. Henry and I decided to keep the pregnancy quiet until we passed the first trimester. I didn't want to go through another loss with people watching. And especially not with my family, who had made it very clear where their loyalties were. But somehow, they found out anyway. It was around week 12 when I started getting congrats texts from distant cousins. A few coworkers mentioned my mom had posted "A miracle is happening in our family again" on Facebook. I hadn't even told her. I hadn't spoken to her in months. Then I got a card in the mail. A pink one with baby rattles printed all over it. Inside, Danielle had written in big, messy handwriting, "Funny how you waited until after I had mine to suddenly decide you could finally be a mom. You're so predictable. No congratulations. Just spite." Henry wanted me to throw it away. I didn't. I kept it. Not as a keepsake, but as proof. Proof of who she was and what she was willing to do. The next few months were strange. My aunt reached out, saying she wanted to rebuild the family. That things had gotten out of hand. I knew Danielle had probably cried to everyone she could. Painted herself as the victim. My mom didn't contact me directly, but she sent Henry a message asking if I was doing okay. He ignored it. Then, one day, in my 6th month of pregnancy, I got a call from Danielle's husband, Tyler. I almost didn't answer, but something in me said to. He sounded tired. Not just tired, exhausted in a way that felt bone deep. "Look," he said, "I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but things are bad over here." I said nothing. He kept talking. "She hasn't been the same since Madison was born. She cries all day, screams at night, barely touches the baby unless someone's watching. She's convinced everyone's out to get her. Says you ruined her child's future by cursing her name. I don't know what to do anymore." That stopped me cold. I didn't hate Danielle. I resented her. I was furious with her. But this? This wasn't the sister I grew up with, even if she'd been awful. This was something darker. Something broken. Still, I wasn't about to fix her mess. "She needs help," I said. "I know," he whispered. "She won't take it." We hung up, and I sat there for a long time, thinking. Then came the biggest twist of all. 2 weeks later, I got served. Danielle filed a cease and desist against me. She claimed I had illegally used a private family name, citing emotional distress and identity theft of a newborn. She wanted me to remove the name Lena from our baby registry and cease promotion of the name in public. Yes, really. She had paid a lawyer. She had filed it in court. That's when I knew this wasn't just sibling rivalry. This was war. And she had no idea how far I was willing to go. Henry read the cease and desist with his jaw locked tight. We were in the kitchen when he opened the envelope. The minute he saw Danielle's name on the letterhead, he said, "You've got to be kidding me." Then he read it out loud, slowly, making sure he wasn't missing anything. She was accusing us of stealing her baby's identity. She claimed we were emotionally manipulating the family by reviving a name that now legally belongs to my daughter. And she was demanding that we remove the name from our upcoming birth plans in writing or face court mediation. I sat down, stunned. "She's out of her mind," I whispered. Henry nodded. "I told you she'd pull something like this." We called his lawyer friend immediately. He read the documents, and after a long pause, he said, "This won't hold up in court. But if you don't respond, it could be used to stall your birth certificate process. She's trying to throw red tape at you." Danielle was trying to punish me by wasting our time, delaying paperwork, and making things messy before the baby was born. And worst of all, she was dragging her daughter's name into a legal mess. I could have ignored it, but I didn't. We filed a formal response. We attached the notarized name reservation, the paperwork we'd filed months before Danielle even announced her pregnancy, and a written statement from the paralegal who handled it. We also included a personal letter from me, something I hesitated on, but felt necessary. In it, I wrote, "You didn't take something light from me. Lena was never just a name. It was tied to grief, to love, to a part of me you laughed at. I never meant to hurt you, but you came after me first. And this is where I draw the line." We sent it all in. Days passed, then weeks. At my 30-week appointment, I walked out of the OB's office and saw someone waiting by my car. It was Danielle. She looked awful. Pale, skinny, like she hadn't slept in days. She was holding her baby in a car seat, but she didn't smile, didn't coo, just stood there, staring at me like I'd kicked her dog. "What do you want?" I asked, my hand already on the door handle. "I just wanted to see you," she said. "To see what kind of person does this to her own sister." I laughed. "I didn't mean to, it just came out." "I did this to you?" She flinched. The baby stirred in the seat. She looked down at her daughter, but didn't pick her up. "You ruined her name," she said softly. "She'll never be the original Lena now." "She never was," I replied. Danielle didn't argue. She just walked away. A week later, she dropped the case. But the damage wasn't done. 2 days after the legal notice was dismissed, Henry got an email from his workplace. Someone had submitted an anonymous ethics complaint against him, accusing him of misusing legal tools for personal gain. The email didn't name Danielle, but we both knew it was her. Henry wasn't suspended, but he had to meet with HR and the legal team. The investigation didn't go far. There was no merit. But it still shook us. "She's not going to stop," I told him. "She might not have to," he said quietly, and placed a hand on my stomach. "This baby's almost here. Let her scream into the void. We've already won." But deep down, I wasn't sure if it was over. Because one night, about a month before my due date, I got a private message from a woman I didn't know. The message said, "You don't know me, but I need to tell you something about your sister. She's not just angry, she's been telling people you stole her child's name to make her look unstable. She's showing people private photos of your pregnancy. She's telling them things that aren't true. I thought you should know." I asked who she was. She said her name was Shannon. She was in a local mom group with Danielle. She sent screenshots. Danielle had posted pictures from my baby registry, a photo I'd shared in a private infertility group, and even a screenshot of our name reservation document, mocking it. Captioned, "This is what obsession looks like." That's when I realized Danielle didn't want Lena. She wanted to destroy me. And I'd just spent the last year letting her get closer and closer to doing it. The day I went into labor, I told Henry not to tell anyone. Not my mom. Not Danielle. Not even friends who still talked to them. I wanted peace. I didn't want drama in the delivery room. I just wanted to meet my daughter. After 12 hours of labor, she was born. Healthy, beautiful, a full head of dark hair and the biggest eyes I'd ever seen. We named her Lena Grace. I held her for hours. I cried more than I thought I would. Not because I was scared, not even because I was tired, but because after everything, after all the pain, the years of Danielle's cruelty, the loss I thought I'd never heal from, Lena was finally real. And she was mine. We didn't post photos. We didn't make any big announcement. We just sent a few quiet texts to friends who mattered. 3 days later, my mom showed up at the hospital. She wasn't on the visitor list, but someone must have let her through. I was holding Lena when she walked in. "Why didn't you tell me?" she said, like I'd forgotten to call her for lunch. I didn't answer. I just stared at her. "She's beautiful," she added, stepping closer. Henry stood up and blocked her path. "She's sleeping." My mom rolled her eyes. "You don't need to protect her from me." "Yes, I do," I said. She blinked. "Are you really going to freeze out your whole family over a name?" "No," I said. "I'm freezing them out because they didn't care when I was in pain. And because you laughed when my sister stole something that meant everything to me." She was just emotional. "You know how she gets." "Yeah, I cut in." "I do. That's the problem. She always gets like that. And no one ever tells her she's wrong." My mom didn't apologize. She didn't even look guilty. She just muttered something about "this is why you don't have a real family anymore," and walked out. I didn't cry. I felt lighter. A week later, Danielle snapped. She posted a long Facebook rant. Claimed I copied her baby name out of jealousy, accused me of trying to replace her child with my own, and called me a twisted, bitter woman who faked a miscarriage for attention. That last part? That hit hard. But she didn't stop there. She posted my miscarriage paperwork. Actual medical records. I don't know how she got them. Maybe she found them when she came over years ago. Maybe she took pictures without me knowing. Either way, she shared them online, with a caption that read, "This is what lying looks like." That was the final straw. Henry and I took the screenshots. We went straight to a lawyer. Between the public defamation, the emotional distress, and the illegal sharing of medical documents, we had a case. A real one. We filed a restraining order. Then we filed a civil suit. It took months, but we won. Danielle was ordered to pay damages. She had to publicly retract her posts. And the court made it clear, if she contacted me or my child again, she'd face criminal charges. Her friends turned on her. Most of them didn't know how deep it went. Once the truth came out, she was left with nothing but her own bitterness. My mom? She picked Danielle's side. Said I went too far. I told her she was no longer welcome in our lives. And that's how it ended. I lost the family I was born into. But I built a new one with Henry, with Lena, with the people who stood by me when things were darkest. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. Sometimes it's not even about getting even. Sometimes it's just taking your life back and never letting the ones who hurt you touch it again. Lena just turned 1. She knows her name. She says it when she sees herself in the mirror. And every time she does, I smile. Because it's hers. Because it's mine. And no one can take it from us now.